Hey there, how you doing? Charlie Winters here with horse racing and football tips for Saturday, the 23rd of August. Well, let's get straight into it because I'm not very organised this morning. I've had to start recording, otherwise it's never going to happen. So you have to bear with me. So as you can see, straight away there's a £50 accumulator. That's for the football. That's for the season-long football. So I'll just talk you through that. It won't take a second. Four teams. Arsenal to win the Premiership, 15 to 8. Northampton Town, 8 to 11 to be relegated. I'll just check it then. I saw it say outright. Yeah, for relegation. I think they're currently second or third bottom. I think Kevin Nolan's in charge of those. They're not doing great, but I just don't think they look like scoring a great deal of goals at the moment. Um, yeah, Salford City to come in the top seven. I think the fifth. I just think they're going to get stronger and stronger. And I think if they are in the playoffs, I think they'll invest a bit. I don't mean buy a £1 million centre forward, but I do believe they'll try and cement their place in the top seven. And I think odds against is a bit of a bonkers price considering some of the teams that are around them or inconsistent teams. I know MK Dons are a relatively short price, but over the last few years they've been very up and down. To be fair, MK Dons, and I've had Birmingham to get promoted. Similar kind of rule applies as what it does with Salford. They've got the money. Birmingham have. If they're around the playoffs, they're going to make sure they get in the playoffs, and I think they're going to do everything they can to make sure they get to the Premiership. Because obviously, for Birmingham and the owners, it does look clearly as though the Premiership is their aim. Don't get me wrong; it's everybody's aim in every single league, but Birmingham are on the up, and I think to win the League One by was it 101 points? There's not many teams that do that, and all they're doing, they're getting stronger. I don't think the Championship, in my opinion, is quite as strong as it has been in the past. It's competitive, but you've got you like Sheffield United. Not quite sure what's happened to them. You've got Derby in there. What's going off with those? Sheffield Wednesday, favourites one to I think 1-7 now for relegation. There's some big clubs in a bit of turmoil. QPR, one of the favourites to get relegated. Don't get me wrong, you've got your more. I think your more consistent clubs might. So you've got your Ipswich and your Southampton, which have probably been preparing for being relegated for the last year or 6 months, and may start pretty well. But then after that, you've got your Middlesbroughs, which I was going to refer to originally, where they are one of the more steadier clubs now. They don't spend big money, and they're not a massively selling club, but unless they can get the right money for it. So I do think stability is a big thing in the Championship this year, and Birmingham are massively on the up. I have gone for promoted. I think something like 8-11 or 8-15 to be in the top seven, which I think is also a decent price. But I've gone for Birmingham to get promoted. Let's get on to the horse racing for Saturday. So this is going to be a bit of a mess because they tend to put it in time order, so you might see me skipping some things. But full explanation is going to happen. Right, this first bet is a 10 pence each way lucky 31, and I've had £1 each way single on each of the selections. So what I've done is I've also had an each way Goliath. This each way lucky 31 is for the bigger prices, and also sometimes for another horse that's in the same race as the Goliath. It's where I fancied two, and I just couldn't split them. So I tried to put them mainly the big prices in this bet. So some of it is from memory. To be honest, this first horse I want to quickly explain it, so I'm gonna have to switch the screen to the 2 o'clock. Just give me a second. So I do believe this is the second horse I've gone for in this race. This is really slow because I'm recording the screen. Right, 7 furlongs, Newmarket. I'm not going to show you everything. I'm going to bring the bit what I want to into screen very shortly. So Lady Kamiko has got first time headgear and it likes to lead. It's quite a competitive race for the standard. I don't mean it's a good race, but it's competitive for the standard. I think it's a class 5, but So this horse, it's left Andrew Baldwin recently as well, 18th of August, apparently 5 days ago. It's dropping back in trip. You might think, well, what are they trying to do with it? I just think that this horse could go straight to the front. It could be well handicapped, and the reason why I'm going for this is because at Goodwood, don't get me wrong, I know it's on soft. Last year, the back end of last year, it ran a decent race to a mark of 73. It's also ran a couple of races where it's run into the 60s. This horse is always or normally right up there leading. Um, I, so it ran okay on its debut, yeah, and became unbalanced at Kempton on the all-weather. And then it ran at Goodwood, a much better race, led, and was headed just towards the finish. Those were both over a mile. So it's bred to probably want further. But since then, if you look up, it's hardly beaten a horse since. Don't get me wrong, it might not have wintered very well, it might not have trained on. We don't know what the reason was, but it was 72 then. Not beaten too far, 5 lengths. All right, 9 lengths is obviously a bit further. Then well beaten, 21 lengths. Leicester's a funny course, so is Goodwood. All I'm thinking is, I know Newmarket isn't an easy track, but I think with a headgear on, they've obviously seen something, or whether they're just trying to kick it up the backside and get it concentrated. But I fully expect it to go straight to the front. The change of, I'm not saying Simon Pearce is a better trainer, but the change of surroundings may bring some kind of improvement. The change of headgear may also bring improvement. And if it goes like shooting off or too quick at the beginning, they may let it go. And I'm just thinking that little bit of stamina, wanting further, could it mean it could stay on? Don't get me wrong, this is 22 to 1. I still expect it probably to get bigger. I just think we don't know much about it. Simon Pearce is the trainer. Interesting trainer. He does have his fair share. Obviously normally he does train the mid to low handicappers, but I just think 22 to 1, 4 places, 10 runners. Get a non-runner, you're nearly talking a 50%. So let's say there's one or two non-runners, which I'm not really hoping for. I just wanted to run a good race. A couple of non-runners, all of a sudden you're talking 4 places, only 8 runners. So I just think that 22 to 1 with a few angles where it could improve could be interesting. Right, I've just noticed I've got a tenner in my can. There shouldn't be anything in there because I've placed it. Oh no, there is. I haven't placed a football bet yet. Right. Next selection is the 210 at Cartmel. It's Leopold's Rock. Have a look at that because, to be fair, I can't remember why. So we'll skip that one. It's only Cartmel anyway, but I did fancy. Hold on a minute. Yeah, that's right. I never quite know whether the meeting is underneath or above the horse. So yeah, Leopold's Rock in the 210 at Cartmel. Take a look for yourself. The next selection is Zamond. It's in the 245 at Cartmel. So this horse, Zamond, is trained by Donald McCain. Um, it's very well handicapped now. It's not really been put in the races so far. Right. I said I wasn't very well prepared. Let me tell you why. So let's start with the 210 at Cartmel because we'll talk about Leopold's Rock for a second. So 210 at Cartmel. I do believe this horse has never been put in the race so far. Ah, I remember. It's trained by Sean Coulthard. Stuart Coulthard. So Stuart Coulthard, I looked at his strike rates for courses. So I put them in order of strike rate percent, and it's his fourth. I believe it's his fourth best course for strike rate. It's only about 9 or 10%. So this horse is off 78 today. So far, it's not been put in the race since it switched from Philip Kirby. Yeah, midfield on outer, slightly wide. In rear, awkward jump, some headway. Yeah, I don't quite know what's going off, but I do like the fact that it's running at Stuart Coulthard's fourth best track for strike rate. Maybe this is a horse that's quirky, that needs something like Cartmel to bring out the best of it. Um, don't get me wrong, as you can see, it was off for 2 year or 18 months ish. It's under the same ownership still, so they're keeping the faith. It's a 9-year-old, but realistically, you'd think it's got to have some kind of ability still. In the past, it ran regularly in the 90s. It was rated about 60-ish on the flat. I just think at this light dog track, which is Cartmel, I just think Leopold's Rock, it could be put in the race. And if it's put in the race, then it's got a chance. 22-1 is a dangerous price. Jack Hogan rides, as you're well aware, it's been. Oh, I'm not gonna click back on it now. Sean Quinlan beforehand. It's Jack Hogan now. So the next race is Zamond. As I said, 245 Cartmel. It's Donald McCain. I just think it's about 9 or 10-1. I think it's better than it's shown so far. Let's keep it that. The next selection is a very dark horse because it's done absolutely nothing. And this horse is called Charles, and it runs in the 335 at York in the Ebor. All its form is in, I think it's France, but it's ran some confusing races when trained by Willie Mullins. Well, you can never put a line through the Willie Mullins' horse, and I believe it's a horse that will be buried mid-division. Who would you want it to ride it if it's buried mid-division, held up? It's got Jamie Spencer on board, and I'm not I don't religiously back either of these two, Willie Mullins or Jamie Spencer. Willie Mullins because I never quite know which horse he's going to win with. Hence the Scottish National, where he won it by one of his bigger prices, and he won another national by the favourite. And it's just he has so many runners in the race, and then all of a sudden they'll say it's Willie Mullins. It's one of the outsiders or the third least fancied of Willie Mullins that takes the race, and you just don't know. But this one's trained by Willie Mullins. It's run twice on the flat recently, where one of the times it just pulled its way into the lead and finished tailed off. I think it finished like 16 of 19. I think, I'm not sure if that was, no, the most recent run, that run existed, but the most recent run was Galway, where it came from behind at Galway, ran an encouraging race, but a race where they're probably finding out a few things about it. They don't know anything about this horse, I don't think. So I just think it's got ability, but it could be anything. And I don't mean anything as in like a superstar, but it could be well handicapped, or it could be a monkey. But would you really send a monkey to Willie Mullins? Because I can't imagine being the cheapest trainer. I just think with James Spencer on board, Willie Mullins, no clear line of form to go by apart from there is ability. I just think it's interesting. So I've had to go for Charles. It's not well backed. I've seen 20s, but it's currently 33-1. So we'll see what happens come post time. The next selection is Comanche Falls. And don't forget, this is in the outsider bet. It's in the 410 at York. So I backed two horses in this race, and I shall tell you what the other one is now. So this one is Comanche Falls in the 4 at York, and the other one is Jordan Electrics. Right, I would have tipped Jordan Electrics if it had if I'd have put tips out the other day. I had a couple of quid each way on it. Came nowhere. Apparently, it was denied a run for the last 2 furlongs. I haven't watched it back in. I didn't even see the horse during the race. So my concern is I fancy both of these today, but I'm convinced that they're both being aimed at the Ayr meeting. You know, the Ayr Gold Cup, the Ayr Silver Cup, and the Ayr Bronze Cup. I just believe that these two horses are being aimed at that. But I've got to back them because I will kick myself if they both run well today. Comanche Falls ran an absolute cracker when I backed it in the. I think it was it the Stewards Cup? It came 7th. And I thought it would come 8th, and it literally came 7th by, I think it was a nose. It was actually unlucky that day. It should have finished at least 3rd, but it ran an absolute cracker that day, considering. And I think it's drawn down the middle at York, and I think so. It's the York draw bias is tricky because I always like a bit of rain to be knocking around. So currently, they've been watering. So what they've made it is, it's quite clear now. So put this in your notebooks. It's quite clear that the far side dries out much quicker than the near side, because they described it this morning as, right, don't quote me, but it's something along the lines of, I think it's 6.3 all over on the stickometer, we'll call it. I can't remember what it's called now. It's 6.5 on the near side, 6.3 in the middle, and 6 on the far side. Well, 6 on the far side would be the slower ground. However, it's clearly not the slowest ground, because they're going to the far side, or sometimes edging over to the far side, or they have been at times. So what I would have liked is for like some rain now, and it would emphasize that the middle to near side or middle to high numbers would be advantageous. I just think you need to be drawn down the middle. That's pretty much what I'd go for. So it is drawn down the middle, and so is, I think Jordan Electrics is drawn quite low, but I think they've both got decent chances. But I do honestly think they're both being targeted at the Air Gold Cup, because at the Air meeting, because Jordan Electrics, it's had a very late campaign, and also I'm a bit, I'm a bit superstitious or whatever it is. I've got a funny feeling, and I hope not. Fingers crossed it hasn't. But Falak had a injury last night. It pulled up and it went wrong. But its legs weren't flopping, but it completely lost its action. I looked this morning, and fingers crossed, so far it hasn't said fatally injured. But Falak was a regular tip of this channel, because it used to travel really well. I'm on about even before it improved to where it is now. It's about 2 or 3 years ago. It was trained by, was it Mark Walford, I think it was, and regularly it used to get placed in these big handicaps at like 25, 16s, 40s. I just hope everything's okay. Obviously, everything comes to an end, but I just hope the horse is all right. All I'm saying is, it's the same colours. So I'm just thinking now, them guys being interviewed after winning today's 410 as Jordan Electrics, and it's an emotional one because they lost Falak last night. You see this all the time, but I just, fingers crossed for Falak. I just hope it's not a sob story. Hope they win the 410 with Jordan Electric, and it's good news about Falak. So fingers crossed. So let's get on to the Goliath. These are plenty of horses with chances. Ideally, my aim is to get everyone placed. Probably not going to happen, but when it does, it's Chinese night for a week. So it's a 5 pence each way Goliath. The first selection is Balali Park in the 210 at Cartmel. So this horse, I've also picked another one in it, but that other one is an outsider. This has got a very obvious chance. But the problem is, when I say that, they don't run very well. This horse was running between 2 and 2.5 mile in Ireland. Nothing special, just did okay. It then went to, I think it was Rebecca Menzies. Straight away, it was up to 2.5 mile plus. It's not done anything for her. So then, on its most recent run, it ran over 2 mile, and it ran its best race since she's had it. It's back over 2 mile again. I think this horse, I think what they've done is they've ran it over a distance too far that is wrong for it. It's now off a very competitive mark. It's ran its first proper race last time over 2 mile. Rebecca Menzies, I've seen her have winners round Cartmel. I don't know if she's the top. I don't think she's the top trainer, because obviously you've got the Moffat guy. But I just think this has got an obvious chance. It's about 5 to 1, 11 to 2. I just think it could back up the run. The next selection is in the 225 at York in its Sea of Kings. It's only had 5 runs so far, and this horse it's crying out, I think, for this 1 mile 6. I did see what relative it was, and I can't remember what it was now. There's a relative of this. I think it's either a full brother or full sister. I'm guessing full. I don't know. Anyway, it's the William Haggis horse that the full sister or brother is that died. It was called Sea of something. I can't remember what it is. But it died, I think, as a 4-year-old. Very progressive, and it was a bit of a shock. Sea of Kings, I think, is crying out for this 1 mile 6. It's been held up in its races, and it's always looked like it's, I won't say finished well, but finished strongly, as in like it's running within itself, and it's just like ridden out to the line and finishing powerfully. not not a fast finishing 100 mile an hour eye catcher, but really striding out powerfully to the line. I think this 1 mile 6 would be perfect for it, and it's from a very powerful connections, the Wath Non Racing. So I think it's got an obvious chance, and it's an obvious price. I think it's about sixes. The next selection is Bullington. I actually thought it was Bullington Bay, Bullington Bry, in the 235 at Newmarket. Take a look for yourself because I've forgotten, and it's the same with the next one. The next one I can't remember. So it's Sapphire Steps. There's that many horses. I think you can understand why I don't know all about all of them. In the 10 past 3 at Newmarket, Sapphire Steps. His best two runs were over 7 and 6 furlong, and then most recently it ran over 5. And if I think he absolutely hated that 5. I think that 5 furlong was a prep run to keep it, to sharpen it up, ready for today. Definitely, 100% I do. I think this horse will. It's a slightly bigger price because of it. I think it's sixes or sevens. It ran the same kind of race, come from behind, finish well, and I just think the stiff 6 furlongs will be much more suitable than the 5 furlongs it ran out last time. I can't remember exactly the 5 furlongs. It might have been Newbury it ran out last time, but it's irrelevant. It ran over a 5 that I don't think suited it because it started out over 7. The next selection is Shadow Dance. It's in the 335 at York, and this is also in the Ebor. So this selection, Shadow Dance, is trained by Roger Very and Sylvester de Souza. I think it's been aimed at this race, but don't get wrong, a lot of these are. Probably about 95%. It's got a strong chance. It's about 8s or 9s. So this is the one I keep talking about. It's Jordan Electrics in the 10 past 4 at York. I'll put it in this bet. I think it's got a good chance. It's about 16s. I think it has touched 25s, but I don't believe these 25, 20, 16s when you see them on Sky Bet. Probably never been them prices, but I do think it's got a decent chance if the right Jordan Electrics turns up. Jordan Electrics never turned up last time, but you really need to keep an eye on these horses that return after, I'd probably say, 6 days or less. I think there's a reason. And I always remember going back to when I used to run, like quite competitively, but not to a good standard, but good club standard. So what I used to do, when we used to have like 3 races in a week, you used to be shattered come the Saturday. You're either a Saturday or Sunday, then a Tuesday or Wednesday, and then sometimes a Saturday or Sunday again. Come the final Saturday or Sunday, you felt shattered. You went into that race thinking, oh, I'm just going to run around, but you set off. I tell you what, you got into a rhythm. I tell you what, you actually felt, although you felt a little bit drained, you felt unstoppable. As in, like, you've had 2 hard runs. It's probably taken a bit of like, it's taken a bit of like, you haven't got that like, what do you mean? You're not running on 100% battery, but that 95% battery seems to go down much slower when you've had a bit of a busy season or busy week, and you seem much more relentless. I think you obviously also strip a bit fitter as well. And I just think that Jordan Electrics, I think it's after 3 days, is reappearing again. It was running okay for the previous 2 runs before that, then apparently never had a decent run. But I'm still convinced it's been aimed at the air meeting. But I cannot leave it out today because if it runs well or wins, I shall keep myself. What I'm also going to do is I am going to have a 50p reverse forecast, Jordan Electrics and Comanche Falls. The next selection is Military Code in the 445 at York. I think this has got a decent chance. It would have been probably shorter had it not disappointed last time, but it was drawn on the wrong side. It finished 2 of 2 on the wrong side. Don't get me wrong, there wasn't a huge advantage. I just don't think it helped. Them 2 horses racing away from the others, and the lower numbers dominated. That was at Goodwood. The final selection is Per Contra in the 520 at York. Right, I'll be honest, I can't remember about this one. So I'm going to tell you. The minute I see it, I'll know. Right. This horse was ran once again, like another one, after only a short break. Per Country could well be an unrunner. It ran 2 days ago. So, in my opinion, this horse, there are races similar to that one there, Class 3 at Hamilton, off at 85 and did a 91. This horse comes into this race in decent form. I don't know whether the ground might be a bit too quick for it, but if you look further down, trained by Ollie Sangster, this horse was rated much higher in the 90s. Yeah, I just think this horse could be, it could run a decent race. Fingers crossed that it can handle the relatively quick ground. It's good firm, good in place, I believe still. I just don't think it's the strongest race. And also, just give me 1 second. Yeah, the interesting thing is Tim Easterby has plenty of runners at York. It's a 50 grand race at York over 1 or 2.5 furlong in a class 2. He's probably got a few other runners that could run in this race, but he's only sent one. And this is it. A horse that reappears after 2 days. If he pulls it out, he hasn't got a representative in there. Opportunity missed. I just don't think. I just honestly, I think if if you'd have thought Per Contra hadn't got a chance, you'd leave it in, but you'd also have maybe a couple of others in there. But he hasn't, and that's what makes me scratch my head a little bit. So quite happy with the selection. Right. So what I've had there, that's the each way. I'm just about to tell you the selection you can see now, Leopold Rock. That's part of the pound each way singles and 10 pence each way, lucky 31. So that's all the horse racing now, but don't forget I'm having a 50p reverse forecast, Comanche Falls and Jordan Electrics. So for the football people, let's put it on now, live, in running. So I'm going to the football. Competitions, let's see what's going off in Premiership. You can normally get a bit of a feel for it. So I'm going to stay away from the half past 12s. Brentford are shocking. Hopefully they get beat. Another bet I've had also in Bet365 is Lincoln to finish above Stags, which is Mansfield Town. Salford to finish above Oldham. Brentford bottom off at 2 to 11. I think that's the shortest price I've ever backed in my life. And what's the other one? Middlesbrough, top half, weighed in. Anyway. So, yeah, that doesn't really... forget the dinner times. By the way, last week was a disappointing day apart from the dinner time kickoffs, if anybody followed me in. The dinner time kickoffs, we got... Was it... I'm trying to think what bet it was. Was it over 2.5 and both teams to score double and also over 2.5? Something like that. I think it made 30 odd quid anyway. I'm tempted for the Birmingham and Oxford. But I like betting in the lower divisions and all though. You can always rely on Stags normally. Mansfield versus Leighton Orient. Bolton. I thought they played recently. God, that would be a dreadful match. Plymouth Blackpool. Northampton Exeter. Right. League Two. Championship. I think I'm going to have to go for Birmingham. Wrexham, Sheffield. Right, okay. I'm tempted for Wrexham and Birmingham. How long can Sheffield Wednesday keep it up for? Yeah, that's what I'm going for. Birmingham then. So, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is this. I've actually got a pound free bet. I don't know if it's for the horses or not. So, generous even money. They seem very generous on Birmingham, by the way. Even for being promoted, I thought that were quite generous. See what £6 makes. So I want to try and save a pound. 22. 24. Right, it's a £6.50 over 2.5 goal double. Next one is a £2.50 over 3.5 goal double. So they both make, one makes 24, one makes 28. It leaves me a pound. And what I'm going to do is, I think these are high pressure matches, a lot at stake. I'm actually going to have a pound double if they're doing it. Red card market. Red card. 9-1. Crikey. We've gone from a goal bet to wanting carnage. Right. Pound double. £100. So you want a red card in those matches. So it's Birmingham and Wrexham. £6.50 over 2.5 goal bet double. Same teams, Birmingham versus Oxford, Wrexham versus Sheffield Wednesday, £2.50 over 3.5 goal double, and a pound double, a red card in the match, in those two matches. So that's everything. So there's pretty much going to be nobody watching right now. So I wish you the very best of luck. Charlie Winters, over and out.